Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, Kelly Johnson is with us today. I've been looking forward to talking with Kelly because she helps folks in transition, whether it's career, business, or otherwise. She's essentially a transition coach. I want to know more, and you're going to want to know more too about her great work. But before we get to Kelly, I just want to remind you that if you are at one of those mega banks, and sometimes it's smaller banks too, but mostly the mega banks, that they put those chat bots and those fake voices and they never answer their own phone, and you've got to go through a phone tree and hit 18 different numbers to get a recording. You don't find that. Renaissance Bank believes in personal service. They also believe in being big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them as a business. That's a magic combination. And that's what clients tell me when they come back after I've referred them to Renaissance. So if that's what you're looking for in a bank for your business, go to renaissancebank.com to learn more. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Kelly Johnson. Kelly is with Crystal Lake Marketing and Coaching. Kelly, welcome.
John, I am so honored to be here today. I have been following you for quite a long time and just grateful that you've given me the opportunity to be here.
I'm delighted to have you here because you do great work. And I know a little bit, as I let on, I know a little bit about you already and the work you do. And I'm excited we can share that with the folks that are listening. So let's get into it.
Thank you.
How are you serving folks out there?
John, I'm a transitions coach. What I do is help people in transition. So I got there from my own journey. So I have owned a business for 8 years after being in the corporate world, about 20. And about 6 years into my business, I didn't feel fulfilled. I felt there was something missing. And so I went on a journey to figure out, what was missing. And through that journey, I found coaching. And so I thought back into everything that I had done in my life and the joy that I got from my life. And it was helping people in transition. Either get to the next level in their career or to find their next job or to start businesses. People came to me all the time with asking me to help them with that. And at the time they did, I just was like, yeah, I'm sure I'm a helper. I'm a connector. I'm like, I'll help you. I never thought I could monetize the business or make it what I did. But I hired an executive coach, Teresa Cara, who you've had on your show. I hired her.
Shout out to Teresa Cara.
She's a fantastic coach. Hired her and she helped me become a coach myself. She walked alongside me in my journey and helped me find what I really was passionate about doing and what I was really good at. And that was helping people in transition. And that's what I do now. And I work with people of all ages, really, if it's early career trying to find their first job, or if it's someone in their late 40s, 50s, early 60s, are like, I'm burned out with what I'm doing.
Right.
What's that next step for me? How do I get there? How do I find what that is? So I'm passionate about helping people, and that's what I do.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about the arc of your career that really got you to this point. So you were in corporate 20 years, and then you started your own business. Talk about some of that journey, if you would, and really how that fits in terms of where you are today.
Oh, that's a fantastic question. So I was in healthcare marketing throughout my career. I was at Emory Healthcare for about 9 years, at the Emory School of Medicine for 3, and I tell everybody I grew up there. So I learned I was very well established, successful by everybody else's means in my career. But again, I wasn't fulfilled even like there. So when I was doing that with Emory and the other businesses I worked for. So 8 years ago, I moved to a new town. I had built my ideal life with my family. And I said, you know what? There's something missing. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I said, I'll start my business. So I did with what I knew. I started a healthcare marketing growth business, which still is part of my business today. But I helped people grow their business. So help, whatever that looked like. Do I start new businesses, help them grow businesses? So what I learned along the way was, again, what I really loved was the coaching work I did, the training work I did to help the people under me get to where they belonged, or the people that saw me and recognized me as a leader they help them get to where they wanted to be. So that's where, when I did my self-exploration of what brings me joy, it was always came back to helping people get to that next level, whatever that looked like to them.
That is a great lesson for people. Just that alone is being able to look at the arc of your journey and see the common things that jump out that say, this is where I need to go next. And so many people are so tied up into the here and now, what's right in front of them, that they don't have the perspective they need to recognize that. Of course, that's where you come in, right? You give them that perspective.
Absolutely. I think I see people are just paralyzed, right? They're afraid. And in the job market we're in right now, right? There's a lot of people out there looking, and you hear these stories about how long it takes to find your new career. So they get paralyzed and they're afraid to make that next step or to find what that joy is or what that their passion or their purpose is. They're afraid to do it until they realize they can do it. They get a coach to say, okay, I'm going to walk beside you on your journey to help you get there. And they can take that leap.
Here's what strikes me about you as a transition coach, as opposed to career coach, business coach, all of which are good things. But what you're saying to people is you're really agnostic on what direction they're going. It's really about their journey and understanding their journey and picking out the high points in that journey that would indicate, or the milestones in that journey, maybe another way to say it, that help them realize where they need to go, whether it's another spot in their career, another company, a different career choice, or going into business in some way.
Absolutely, John. And just to give you an example of that, so in my fractional marketing business, I had hired someone to work with me on a client. So she came and worked with me on a client, and then she said, I need to go out on my own. I want to go on my own. And so I have walked alongside her in her journey. She's 20-something years old. I'm just floored with her. She's phenomenal. But the process she's made from being this employed individual to building her business, right? So she's built her business it's been, I guess, a year and a half now, from basically a doer. Now she's becoming a strategist. She's doing fractional ghostwriting for executives. And to walk alongside her in that journey, that's one example of how I've helped people. And it's just so fulfilling. It's so fulfilling to see her. Okay, I was here. I had a dream. I wasn't afraid to jump. And now taking her from early level to where she is. And I can't take all that credit. She's made that. She's made those choices and taking those risks to get there. And it's been really such a pleasure to walk with her from the business side. So going to your point of career versus business, what is your goal? Do you want to be retired at 40? So what does that transition look like to you? What does that career look like to you to get you there in your transition, to make your next transition to your next job? So that's, again, it's not necessarily industry specific or type of business that you're going into. It's really, what does that look like from a transition perspective?
Kelly Johnson is with us, folks. She is with Crystal Lake Marketing and Coaching, and she's a transition coach. Let's talk about career changes, first of all. And we'll talk about the business part in a second, and it all flows together, I think, really. But let's talk about career choices and it depends on the industry. We know that, but what it looks like out there for folks, and what are some of the common themes that you're seeing from folks that are in corporate and they're trying to decide whether they want to continue and maybe whether they need to make a change, and what are some of the common issues that they're seeing and facing and trying to work through?
Oh, wow. A lot of them are afraid, right? Like they're burnout. They are in a culture that they may not want to be in anymore, or they may be doing jobs that they just don't feel fulfilled in, right? So that's number one. But then they're afraid because the job market out there right now is tough, especially for white collar individuals. White collar individuals are having a hard time, even though the unemployment rate right now is, I think, 4-ish%. So it's low, but the jobs necessarily aren't matching what the skill sets are, or the people aren't putting their skill sets they have to match those jobs, to match them. So one, that they're hearing, again, they're just hearing that this is a bad job market. So they're staying there. They're staying stuck in their career. And that's really sad because, again, there's opportunities out there if you can position yourself in the way to match those jobs that are out there, so the recruiters see, oh, wow, yeah, your skill sets match what we're looking for. So a lot of times those individuals don't know what their strengths are or don't know how to portray them when they're interviewing for jobs, if they are, going for that next job or at the next place. And so that's what I help them understand. A big part of my business is, people say I'm a cheerleader. I like telling people all the good things they do. And one of the first things I tell my clients, go ask everybody 3 strengths that you have of yourself. So they're seeing themselves as others so that they can use that to get that job or position themselves for that job that's looking for those same skill sets. So
can we stop right there? This is so important. I want to underline what you just said. It's not about what you think. It's about what others see in you. And what others see in you is always my experience, but I think it's generally true. It's always more than what you see yourself because we humans have a way of discounting ourselves.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. The people that I work with, they say one of the most impactful things that I do is have them do that exercise. Of what do other people think of you? What do they say about you? And what they come back to me, they're like, I had no clue. I had no idea. And then they're able to use that, build on it, and then go get what they're after, what they're looking for, or whatever that transition is. Go for it, because they then are like empowered and feel confident. They don't take it from nothing here. They don't go.
Sure.
But it's very empowering. So I challenge all your listeners to do the same thing. Go ask everybody 3 strengths that you have of yourself.
It's life-changing.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's how I started my journey. I started like asking people, what am I good at? What do you find valuable?
So what did they say about Kelly?
I'm a connector. I'm a people person. I'm big on relationships. Yeah. Recently, somebody told me I was supernatural.
Supernatural.
I had supernatural powers. And I think I'm just really empathetic. I really care about the people that are in my network. And I tell them that. I show them that. And so they see that. I want people to succeed. And I think that's why she said supernatural. But it caught me off guard when this recent person, it was about 3 weeks ago, told me that.
I see that. I see all of those things. So that makes perfect sense to me. But that's really what the characteristics you've named are really, I would think, be ideal for someone that's a transition coach.
People hire me because I care. And that's the feedback I've gotten. I go above and beyond for my clients. I have a client now who is in government. And so he every day has no clue what tomorrow is going to bring. And I check in on him. For a while there was every day. Right now it's probably every 3 days, but I checked in on him this morning. And he just feels that I want to see him succeed, right? Like that, they just feel that. And a lot of people who've been referred to me, they know that about me. And so I think it's just a natural thing for me, but it's been a reason I've been successful as a coach, because they want someone who truly cares and wants them to succeed.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about asking about strengths. Let's talk about other exercises and practical steps that you recommend for people to give them clarity on what path they need to be on.
Sure. We always start with, what does your ideal life look like with any of my clients, right? So do you want to travel for work? Do you want to make $200,000? Do you want to work remote? Do you want to work in the office every day? Or you want to have time for your family? Or you want to retire when you're 40? We have to outline what you want your life to look like. And how does your career fit into that life? So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is I have everybody do the Gallup Strengths Finder assessment. So really, again, going back to your strengths, how does a true assessment, other than your friends and neighbors, what does a true assessment say about what your top strengths are? So that's another thing that's really eye-opening to a lot of the people that I work with is, okay, these are my strengths. Okay, really, what does that mean, really? And then what I usually do is I'm going to use AI a little bit, because there's a lot of career assessments out there, right? But I use actually ChatGPT. Okay. So I say, okay, take your non-negotiables, like what you want your life to look like, then take the Strengths Finder, the assessment, put it in ChatGPT and say, find me, if you're looking for your next step, find all the jobs that match these. And so it'll come out with, I don't know, 10-ish jobs usually it comes out with, or careers that you could go into that match your strengths and what you want your ideal life to look like. And then we pair it with, again, where is the demand in the market right now? Is there a demand for all these things that came out as your top ones? And if not, then let's narrow that down, right? If there's no demand and it's not going to pay you for the lifestyle that you want to have, let's continue to narrow it down. And usually they can narrow it down to one or two. They're like, oh my God, I never thought that I could really do coaching. I never thought I could do coaching. But if you do my strength finder, guess what comes up top? Coaching. And training. And I've done that. I've done all these exercises on myself. But that really helps them, give them clarity. And then from there, talk to everybody they know in the industry and everybody they know that's in those jobs to really understand, do I want to be there? So that's how we start out our coaching engagements. For everybody who's really trying to figure out, where do I belong? Where do I belong? What brings me joy? What's going to bring me fulfillment in my career? And it's really fun to see that transition from, I have no clue, to, oh my gosh, there's really careers out there that I could be passionate about and that could bring me joy every day instead of just doing it as a job.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I can also hear some folks out there saying, okay, Kelly, that's great. I'm making this up. I'm an engineer. Used to having my head down on a blueprint or something like that. And it's come back that my skill is coaching. How am I going to make the transition from one to the other? Because I don't have the obvious points and skills and milestones on my resume to make that leap. And now I'm talking about career. I want to get to business here in a second. Yeah. Okay. But how do I make that change?
If you've done the strengths assessment, you're measuring what you do well. What do you do well has to be a part of it, right? If you're an engineer, but in your job, you are coaching people and you're training people, and that's what's bringing you joy, you're already doing that. But a lot of times people think that, okay, I'm an engineer, I don't have those skills, but they're doing it and they may not know they're doing it. So let's look at those strengths again, and let's help them. If they are going to be a coach, what are the things that you need to learn to be the coach? So that's how I walk alongside them too. Okay, for me, ICF training, International Coaching Federation training. I knew everything about marketing, could do it by the back of my hand, but I had to do training too. So what are the trainings that you're going to have to do to feel more comfortable? Because if you've done the strengths assessment, it says you have these skills, right? But what are the other trainings that you need to do, or the skills that you need to develop to be an expert at this new career that you want to be in? So that's what I walk beside them to understand that as well. Because we're always learning, right? In any stage of our journey.
Now, one of the things you talk about also is developing a strong personal brand, making the connections, building the network before you need the network. Say more about all that.
Oh, I'm a big fan of networking. So if you've read Glasgow's book of connectors, salespeople, and Maven, I'm an ultimate connector, right? So I'm always, and I'm come from an introvert, shy background, but I love authentic relationships.
Hold on just a second. You come from an introvert, shy, but what are you talking about?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Painfully shy, even into college.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've had to reinvent myself, and I have. Different note, but I'm a connector.
Yeah.
I love creating authentic relationships. So everybody, what is number one thing you need to do, regardless if you're in a transition or not, build your network, build authentic relationships. Don't force relationships with people you don't connect with. That's not worth it. But when you connect with someone, build on that, cherish that. But in building your personal brand, I mean, LinkedIn is the ultimate career place to be, right? And if you have not made those connections, have not built your personal brand on LinkedIn, have not built your profile out, and then you're somehow laid off or restructured, that's tough because you're starting from scratch. But if you've done those things, you've made the connections, again, natural connections, kept up with those connections, kept up with that network, and built your personal brand on LinkedIn, that doesn't just mean building out your profile. It's being active, either posting or commenting on people's posts, whatever you've done on LinkedIn that's showcasing you, right? Like building recommendations, asking everybody you meet, give me a recommendation. That's building your personal brand before you need it. So if you're in a transition, we don't have to even go there, right? You've already done all of that work.
Right.
And you're going to have a head start on someone who's just starting after, like when they need it. So I encourage everybody, even that I'm not working with, start building your personal brand now. Start building that network now, because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Because any of us could be laid off tomorrow, or businesses, whatever could happen. Something could happen. And we have to have that personal brand to get us to that next step quicker.
Wow. Great and important words from Kelly Johnson. Kelly is with Crystal Lake Marketing and Coaching, and she is a transition coach. I want to get to those that are in business. So you went through a big transition yourself in your business. And say a little bit more about that, about being in marketing, having a successful marketing-oriented business, but just there was something missing. And talk about how you got to that point, what it felt like.
Sure.
So that others can maybe identify with that.
Absolutely. So I've been in business 8 years now. And so again, I think it was actually 5 years ago. I just got home. I was tired. I wasn't fulfilled. There was just something missing. And I'm not the type of person who just sits on that. I could have said, okay, and everybody else said, you have a successful business. You're great. Even my husband was like, you're doing great. Why would you want to do something else? And I just felt there was something missing. So I went on this journey of, okay, again, where do I make the most impact? Where do I make the most impact? And so again, it came down to, I found through, again, the assessments work I did on myself and the stuff I just said about taking the assessment and figuring out where I want to go and hiring my coach to be like, I really belong in coaching and I know I can make a massive impact. So when I decided that, initially I was so like, I had in your words, the inadequacy complex, or inadequacy.
The mindset of inadequacy.
Yes, the mindset of inadequacy.
Okay.
I was like, how can I make this work? There's 60,000 coaches out there and I already have a successful business. Why am I spending so much time building this other business? But it's because my goal is not just to have a business where I make money. I need a business to make money. I have to support, I have a family.
Sure.
But I have to find fulfillment. We spend, if you work 40 years of your life, you're spending at least 70,000 hours working. That's a lot of time. I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel happy. I want to feel joyful. I want to make sure I'm making a difference. So I pursued that and I have been successful, but it's because I make daily choices. I took the risk to jump into the lane. I'm training and learning every day. I spend an hour on personal development every day.
Wow.
Yes. For your listeners, if you want to make a change or to really go for it in your career, I spend an hour. If it's listening to a podcast while I'm running or reading a business journal at night or reading the Generosity Mindset, which has been amazing part of my career journey as well. I spend that much time learning. And that's a big part of my success is that work I'm doing every day, the little steps every day to make a difference and to make my career go off. And I'm very happy with what I've done.
You should be. Wow. That's fantastic. So let's talk to those folks that are thinking about that transition in their business. And what are some of the elements? It sounds like there's some similarities here in terms of building a personal brand or shifting their personal brand, leaning in a different direction. But talk about what's important for business owners. They have their own business and they're looking to make that shift.
Sure. So I've over the course of my career, even before I started coaching, people would come to me all the time because they said, oh, you built your business. How did you do it? Can you help me? So I'd help all these people build their business, get their confidence and know they could do it. So now, like what I do with new business people is, okay, do you really understand what business world is, right? Everybody has this thing like, oh, you're going to work 10 hours a week and make $1 million. We start there. Do you truly understand what you're getting into? Because it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. And then we understand where their passion is. Like, where is that passion that they have that matches their skills, matches the demand for what they do, and they can get paid for it? Mm-hmm. And then, so I have an entrepreneur group. It's a solopreneur group, people, young businesses, and we meet every week, and we help each other build businesses, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm the leader, I'm the coach, but I bring in people like you. John has been a member of my group for a week and talked about his generosity mindset to help these people build their ideal businesses. I can't say that I will be a business coach like you, John. So if someone needed a coach that really is going to walk alongside them on value, what pricing, I lead them to you. But if someone wants someone who wants to walk alongside them early in their journey to understand what you need. Are you an LLC? Are you an S Corp? Or do you need insurance? Do you need an attorney? What do you need for networking? That's a big part of what we talk about. Building your personal brand is a big part of business development, networking and business development, which I excel at.
Yeah.
So it's a big part of our program is, okay, everybody that's in that young stage of your business, what's the number one thing that they're looking for? Business development.
Right.
So that's a big part of what I do with the small business owners is just really help walk alongside them to build their plan to help them grow that business.
And there is no business, certainly for solopreneurs and even small firms. I'm hard pressed to think of an example of someone that knew exactly where their business was going to go. And that's what they've been doing now for, let's say, 20 years. Right? Since they left corporate at age 40, right? I'm hard pressed to think about who that person is because we all go through this development, whether we want to or not, right? Because it is a journey and we learn things about ourselves and we learn what our interests are and things happen to us in our business. And then we see a different place to go, right?
Absolutely. And that's what happened to me. Again, I still do my marketing business and I love it. I have great clients. I love it. But as I build my business, it's more around that coaching side. So that's when people come to me and they're so paralyzed, they can't make an action to move forward in their business. I'm like, you need to take a step and jump and see what works because you could have everything buttoned up and then you get in and nobody's calling you. Nobody's calling you. Okay, you have to make a pivot. Okay, so jump in, see what's working, see where your demand is, see what people are coming, and then you can find that niche. But so many people I work with are like, oh my God, I got to have the niche before I get the first client because I don't know. And then they're just stuck and they don't do anything. There's no action. That's why I help them understand it's going to change. What you start at day one, maybe, as you mentioned, completely different by even year 2 or year 5, and definitely by year 10, it's going to be potentially very different.
And do you find that people are paralyzed by a mindset of wanting to be perfect? So everything's got to be just like in place, right? The wind's got to be blowing right. And it's like everything's got to be in order and so forth. And it never is.
No, definitely not when you're owning your own business.
Right.
You got to be flexible and change when you feel like it's not going right.
And even before you start your own business, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, wherever you are, it's never going to be right.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. Kelly, I think we've been clear, but I want to make sure people understand what it is they're seeing in their life that makes them think, I got to pick up the phone and call Kelly.
Sure. It's people that want to find their purpose, really. Like, what is my next step? Like, where do I belong? I feel stuck in my career. Should I start a business? Should I go after a different industry or different role? Is someone who just needs someone to walk alongside them to help them figure that out and develop a plan to get there. Those are the people that I work with and can make a big difference.
Whether it's career or business, you're the person. I would love it if you could share a success story or two. You've shared several that have been terrific, but share a few more that help illustrate the great work you do.
Sure. So one of probably my biggest success that I can say right now is actually from my time at Emory. So I worked with someone who was an intern for me, and she came in and she was an intern, but she was phenomenal. She was phenomenal. And I gave her lead on a project that I was responsible for, and she did it. She did it fantastic. And I gave her all the accolades, all the credit for it because she deserved it. She did the work. And to her, that was mind blowing. One, that I didn't take the credit and that I let her lead that at such a young stage in her career, but she had earned that. Fast forward 12 years and she's a COO of a huge sales system, and she is changing cultures because of some of the things that I taught her about giving people credit, building them up, and really just the whole, just making them feel worthy and valuable, which in the healthcare culture, I've been in it a long time, it's hard. It's a hard culture, right? You make a mistake as a surgeon, that's huge.
Yeah.
You make a mistake as a marketer, not as big a deal, but still that mentality came down to the people that worked for these surgeons. So it was a hard environment to be in. So the work she's doing to transform cultures, I'm just so proud of her and the work she's done. That's one of my biggest. And again, I've been coaching my whole life, just not with the term coach, but for her, because she's making a massive impact on so many others, and to know, and she tells me all the time, and it feels weird because I'm like, that's just natural. That's what you should do. But she helps me give credit to know that these things are being passed on through other people. That's really validating, and that's really fulfilling to me to know that I was able to make a difference like that.
Wow. What a great story. And what great work. Kelly Johnson with Crystal Lake Marketing and Coaching. Wow. What a fantastic conversation. You do such marvelous things for folks, and just giving clarity has tremendous value for people, right? Getting them out of that cloud that they're living under. So thank you for that work. And we're delighted we could shine a light on it for sure. But let's get to the most important question, which is for folks to find you that want to know more about you and your services and how you can help them in their journey. Where can they be in touch?
Sure. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So my name is Kelly Fraser Johnson on LinkedIn, and please reach out to me and connect with me. I love making connections. I love making authentic connections, as John mentioned. I actually met him through a networking event. So I'm grateful for him and his ability to be here. But my website's in progress. So I don't have that finalized yet, but we'll see. But LinkedIn, I'm on it every day, multiple times a day. I would love to hear from you. If you have questions, please feel free to message me.
Kelly Johnson, transition coach with Crystal Lake Marketing and Coaching. Kelly, thanks again for coming on.
John, thank you. And thank you to Renaissance Bank for having me here and sponsoring the show.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, folks, just a couple of quick things before we let you go. As Kelly mentioned, I have a book out. It's called The Generosity Mindset, A Journey to Business Success by Raising Your Confidence, Value, and Prices. Now, if you are a solopreneur, small services firm, you're a consultant, coach, attorney, CPA, accountant, bookkeeper, what are you selling? You're selling the expertise between your ears. And that leads to all sorts of issues around understanding your value, your positioning, business development, and pricing. And if you're having issues in those areas, this book is written expressly for you. Go to thegenerositymindset.com to learn more and learn where to buy the book, which is essentially everywhere where all books are sold. Also, I just want to thank you. If you're listening to the show, I want to thank you because this is show number 853, I think, something like that. I can't even believe I'm saying these numbers. When we started this show almost 9 years ago, I had no idea where we were going, but I didn't think 850 something. So we've only gotten this far because of you. So you continue to support us. If you're listening to this show, you've certainly been with us for a long time, and you support us in so many ways by sharing the show, you liking us on social media, commenting, and sending the shows to folks that need to hear maybe some of the good words of business leaders like Kelly are so helpful. You send us great guests, and I'm just so grateful for your support. You help us live into our mission to be the voice of business in the North Fulton region and beyond, and I'm grateful to you. Thank you for that support. So for my guest, Kelly Johnson, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.